This is Small Talk with 101 ESPN's Michelle Smallman.
We are back. Welcome into episode 155 of Small Talk. Steve Ceruti and Michelle Smallman are here. Steve, Texas is not back, but we are back.
Texas is never coming back. I'm convinced. Sorry to the Will Canes of the world. Sorry to all my Texas. I like Texas, and Joe Test tried to declare him back a couple years ago. It's like fetch. It's not happening.
It's never going to happen. I feel badly for Joe Test because that was such an unbelievable call, but now Texas has not come back since Texas was allegedly back. And it's just kind of a running joke that Texas is never going to be back. But I knew that you and I were going to be back, Steve, not because we're sitting here staring at each other taping this pod, but right before we went on, you said that we were gooch. And I know that.
Well, speaking of gooch, are you, and by the way, pumped to be back. I'm in a great mood today. I'll tell you why in a little bit, but, yeah, I got, I'll just tell you now, the Magic won last night. We were at the Knicks game. I was excited about that. You're at MSG. We're going to give your MSG story. The U.S. men's national team beat Mexico 2-0. Dos Acero, what's up? I got a nice cortado hanging out here. What's up?
Wow. Oh my God, that looks professional, Steve. That looks delicious.
I am a barista now, so I make coffee and espressos better than actual baristas. True story. But where was I going with it? Now I've lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
You're in a great mood.
Yeah, but there was something. There was a reason.
Oh, because you said gooch. You said gooch.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Are you into the new House of Gucci? Are you excited? I could see you being very excited for the new House of Gucci movie. That's right in your wheelhouse.
It is so in my wheelhouse, and I love Lady Gaga, my close personal friend Stephanie.
True.
I obviously am very into the Italian fashion house, iconic Gucci. But Steve, I got to tell you, I've seen the previews, and I'm not sure if I'm sold on Lady Gaga and the accent. I'm nervous. I'm going to see it, but I'm nervous. Just like I just saw the Kurt Warner movie and I was nervous going into that because I lived it and that story was magical. And I thought there was no way that the movie could touch reality.
So
I'm nervous about the House of Gucci.
Here's the thing. Well, first off, I've seen the previews for the Kurt Warner movie. Everybody knows the story. It's a great story. And I like the actor that plays Kurt Warner too, but some of those football scenes kind of didn't look great. And that made me a little nervous, but we won't, we've digressed. Let's get back to House of Gucci.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay, really quick.
I was going to tell you, if you spend the money to go see that movie, it's a great movie, but you're not going to a football movie. Mm-hmm. The movie is about he and his wife, Brenda, and their love story and their son, Zach, and football is a backdrop. I was sitting in the theater and we were 2 hours in before we even got to the Rams. And I'm sitting there being like, where's Dick Vermeil? We will rally around Kurt Warner. We'll play good football. Give me the tackle in the Super Bowl. These are the things that I wanted. And it's a great movie. I think a lot of families are going to really enjoy taking their kids and their wives to see it.
It's a feel-good story.
It's a feel-good story. It is not a football film.
That's okay. Because you know me, I actually don't like sports movies. I don't. Typically
none.
I don't like sports movies. I think they're too sappy. Remember the Titans is a great movie, but it's kind of sappy. I didn't see The Blind Side. No chance I was watching that movie. I liked Any Given Sunday because it was edgy at the time. But typically your sports movie, I'm not a big Rudy guy. I haven't seen Field of Dreams. I don't like sports movies. I like sci-fi, weird shit. I like aliens. I like space travel. Hence Interstellar. I like Lord of the Rings, shit like that. So
Did you watched Friday Night Lights, the TV show though, right?
No, I watched the movie, I will say the movie was one of the best sports movies I've ever watched. It's incredible. I did not watch the show. I did not. Maddie has, and she's berated me about why I haven't. I had friends that have watched it and you need to watch it. I kind of feel like I missed it. I missed it and that's it. I'm okay with it.
Other than not watching The Sopranos, which I hope you're finishing that soon, this might be the biggest L you've ever taken. Friday Night Lights, the show, might be the second or third best show of all time.
When was the prime of that? Was that 2010s? Was it 2000? I'm trying to think if I think it was after I was high school. I think it was a little bit of me in college. And I remember the hoopla and everyone being excited around it. And I like the actors in it. I like
2006 to 2011.
So yeah, that was basically my entire college. Yeah. So okay. And then what was the running back's name?
Smash Williams.
Yeah, what's his name in real life? Is it Emil Hirsch? No, is it Emil Hirsch? No, what the hell is his name?
No, Emil Hirsch is the guy who was in the Jack Kerouac movie.
Correct. I don't know. They look similar. Anyway, I know it's good.
Not. Wait. Oh, you're talking about Tim Riggins.
Tim Riggins. That's what
he's
I'm
a fullback.
about.
He's a fullback.
Okay. Well, all right.
Listen, get it right. Get it right.
Fullback, sorry. Excuse me.
Number 33, Tim Riggins.
number 1 in yards. But I just, again, it's something I'm just not going to go back to. I'm sorry. I missed the movement, and I'm going to live to tell the tale.
I'm hoping this winter you have a really bad snowstorm, maybe like a polar vortex, or what do they call it? A bomb cyclone. Bomb cyclone, and you're forced to watch it.
Is that what happened when there's that video of us walking into ESPN? Was that the bomb cyclone?
Cyclone.
Yeah, that was a good video. Good times.
Terrible times actually, because we were snowed in at ESPN. But during the bomb cyclone, that's when I binged Game of Thrones.
Oh, well, that's a great call. Game of Thrones is one of those shows where if you haven't seen it, and you watched it now, if it hasn't been spoiled for you like a million times over, it would still hold up. I'm just not sure. Friday Night Lights, I don't know. It's network television. I mean, I don't watch network television. So good. I'm sorry.
Steve, we're talking drugs. We're talking sex. We're talking steroids. We're talking Texas football. We're talking improper benefits. We're talking affairs, scandals. It's so good.
I just feel like I've evolved to, and then this is me being,
there's a murder.
Knobby, but I didn't know that. I feel like I've evolved to a higher level of television than network television. And sorry to my network television peeps, but what's the last network television show that you watched? Was it Friday Night Lights? Like, who watches shows on NBC and CBS anymore?
It was either Friday Night Lights or The Office.
The Office, yeah. Okay, The Office is probably. But I watched most of The Office on Netflix. I actually didn't watch it live. So again,
interesting.
Sorry, I'm a millennial.
Okay, wait. We have to circle back because I'm dying to hear about your good mood and why you had the best time at MSG. I know that it was your first time, right? Going to the Knicks Magic game last night. Your first time at MSG.
First time. So I saw John Mayer there 2 summers ago.
Oh, that's right. I saw you.
I've been to MSG, but I have never seen a sporting event. I've never seen obviously a hockey game, and definitely not a basketball game. And then you went to see DMB, right, at MSG?
Yeah.
All right, so we have to share. We'll share our MSG stories. I mean, MSG. I'll just say from a concert perspective, it was awesome. Like it's where every artist wants to play, basically. So they give you their best show. So when John was there, he played. It was incredible. I'm sure for those who like Dave Matthews Band, it was a great concert. I wouldn't be one of those. But the hoops game was awesome. I mean, first off, the Knicks are good again. They're not great. They're kind of like a middle of the road team in the East, but that's compared to where they've been in the last couple of years. That's freaking great. So the fan base is fired up. The environment in MSG was unlike. I mean, I've been to the Boston Garden. I usually go when I go to Magic games to catch a couple. I try to catch one every year. I usually go to Boston because I'm closer to Boston, and it's easier to get tickets to Celtics games than it is Knicks games. But JJ, Johnny Stremski, who I work with at the Ringer, hooked us up with some tickets, and we went last night, and that place lives up to the freaking hype. I mean, even last year in the playoffs when the Knicks lost in the first round to the Hawks and they lost in 5, it wasn't a competitive series. I was almost like envious of Knicks fans. Like, this is so cool. When this thing is going right, there might not be a better thing to get behind for a team or from a sports perspective than when the Knicks are good, being in MSG and being in New York and everybody's singing. It's just great. And obviously at MSG, like at basketball games, you got famous people on the sideline. JB Smoove is there. Tracy Morgan's there. Cara I can never pronounce
Cara Delevingne.
She was there. Selena Gomez was there.
I saw Harrison Bader was there, Cardinals player.
Sure, I did not know that, but shout out to Harrison. What's up? So the game absolutely lived up to the hype. And the Magic won, which is absurd because the Magic actually are the worst team in the Eastern Conference. They're in a complete rebuild. Now they're a fun team to watch. Jalen Suggs had actually a really great second half. Franz Wagner, who is just athletic beast from Michigan, who I'm obsessed with now. It was a great team win. So I was trying to be. It's weird though. When you're an away fan, are you? I don't know where you stand on this, but I'm not the loud guy who's rubbing in the home fans' faces. So I wasn't cheering every Magic bucket or dunk. I was pretty subdued. But there were guys there who were Magic fans that were very loud. I don't know. Where do you stand on that? Should I have been more obnoxious, or do you kind of sit in the back and not try to ruffle any feathers?
Steve, I don't want any problems. I don't want any conflict.
We don't want no problems.
We don't want no problems. Also, I don't care enough anymore. It's one of the saddest developments of my professional life is that I don't care as much anymore.
There's not one team that you're the
Illinois basketball. Illinois basketball is the only thing I would not trash talk anything except for Illinois basketball.
That's fair. College, I guess, is especially when it's your alma mater, is different. I was there with I was chatting with some guys that went to Michigan, so the Big Ten love was in the house. What's up?
What's up?
Shout out to my guy Noah. But you wouldn't get up for a big Cardinals game, really? I find that hard to believe.
No, I mean,
You
like,
wouldn't like start talking shit to other fans?
No, I want the Cardinals to win because I want my city to win and because I want the guys that I know on the team to do well. I do put on for my city, raise up. But isn't that Petey Pablo, raise up? Come on.
Well, you just combined two songs. Put on for my city with Jeezy, which, by the way, Jeezy is one of the most underrated rappers of all time. I'll say it right now. Came on a playlist last night on my 2-hour drive back. Guy's absolutely incredible. Doesn't get enough credit. But yes, Petey Pablo is Come On, Raise Up. That was the North Carolina.
But in that song he goes, St. Louis.
He says like every city. Yeah.
I know, but I think it's like very cool what he does with St. Louis. But anyway, no, I couldn't care less. Like, it's all fun and games for me. But if the Cardinals lose, Steve, I'm not losing 1 minute of sleep over it, which is sad because I used to be such a fan. But now I'm like, okay, what else do I have to talk about tomorrow? But Illinois basketball, I feel like, as you saw when they were ranked number 1 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you led me astray.
Listen, I did not lead you astray. Okay. They were the Big Ten champions and they beat out a loaded Big Ten field to win the Big Ten tournament. They were a number 1 overall seed, Steve. They were a number 1 overall seed. And it's not even my fault. Okay. I'm still blaming Sister Jean. She had the list of things that needed to happen. She put in a word with the big man upstairs. She has his ear. He clearly delivered, and improper benefits. I don't know why the NCAA has not
improper benefits to Sister Jean in Loyola.
It's ridiculous.
I'm sure they don't have the endowment that would coincide with improper benefits. But I'll listen. It's neither here nor there. It's water under the bridge. As long as Gonzaga didn't win, I wasn't going to.
No, but like to circle back, I'm not going to be chirpy. Like when I went and saw the Cardinals Red Sox at Fenway, I'm not chirping in the stand. First of all, I'm never going to chirp to Boston fans because I'm going to lose that battle. But no, I'm not a chirpy opposing fan.
So I didn't do that either. But I will say Franz Wagner had a dunk late in the fourth quarter. I screamed. I screamed because it was, I mean, I'll send you the clip. It was awesome. And it was to put them up 3, like with like under 2 minutes left. So it was like a big play in the game. And I was pretty quiet most of the game, especially because I was with 2 Knicks fans, my buddies. And and they were certainly cheering very loudly. So I was like, all right, I'll just play it cool. And when he did that, when he threw down, plus he's a 6'10" white dude. So when like white dudes like that dunk on 2 guys, I yelled, I screamed. So it was a great time. I'm not going to reenact it. I'm not. But somebody asked me, someone's like, hey, tell me that you stood up during the Franz dunk. I was like, I screamed. I yelled. I did. So I had one, I guess, lapse in my tranquility, but it's okay.
Was it like a let's go type yell, or was it like a
it wasn't a word. I'll say that. It was just a noise. A noise came out of my mouth that probably people were like, what the fuck is happening? Also, who was a Magic fan? Like, who is this Magic fan? Like, there are Magic fans? Crazy.
Can I ask you a Magic question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said you guys were rebuilding. I obviously don't get a chance to pay attention to the NBA since we don't cover them here in St. Louis. Haven't they been rebuilding for like a hot minute now?
Well, yes and no. So their last sort of like rebuild was the post-Dwight rebuild, which lasted way longer than it should have. It lasted like almost a decade. But they did make the playoffs 2 straight years a couple years ago, and they won a game. They were the 7 seed and the 8 seed. They both won a game in the playoffs. Now those teams weren't that good. They lost to the Bucks and lost to the Raptors, both actually who went on to win titles. No, I'm sorry, the Bucks was the year before. But the titles, the Raptors went on to win a title. So they had like Aaron Gordon, they had Nikola Vucevic, they had some decent players, but they kept getting hurt, and like they never actually got like the top pick. They'd get like the 3rd pick, and it just didn't work out. But this rebuild, I absolutely am obsessed with this team. As I told you, Franz Wagner is the man. He was a rookie. They had 2 first-round picks this year. They took Jalen Suggs, who was the kid from Gonzaga.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
Who hit the shot, just for people who don't, like he was the kid that hit the shot against UCLA from like basically near half court to win the game. I mean, when he fell to 5, I was so pumped. And they've just got a lot of good young. Marco Fultz is on the team, former number 1 pick. He's kind of turned his career around, although he's been hurt.
Did he find a shot?
No, but he's a really good point guard. He plays really good defense. He's never going to be the guy that everybody thought he was going to be, but he's a solid NBA player. So there's some really likable dudes on this roster. So it's they have Mo Bamba, so shouts out to Mo Bamba and Shaq West.
Oh, Mo Bamba, what's up?
Yeah. So it's a fun team. It's a young team. There's some growing pains, but they've won 2. They have 4 wins on the season. 2 of them have come at Madison Square Garden this year. It's kind of wild. They own MSG.
So where do you rank your Madison Square Garden experience? And I'm sure the excitement of the game and the fact that the Magic won plays into that, but where do you rank MSG as far as your sports experiences go?
It's funny. I was talking to the Michigan dudes last night about this because they're going to a Michigan Ohio State game soon. And I was telling them about how I was at LSU, Alabama, which I'm not even a big college football fan. And that was freaking awesome.
It's electric.
Now, listen, if I saw like a Knicks finals game, it'd be different. There's levels to this, right? This was a Knicks Magic game in November. There's not that much on the line right now.
Right.
When I saw Messi at Camp Nou, that was up there. But I'll tell you this: I've seen a lot of games at the TD Garden in Boston, and MSG closed the TD Garden away. I mean, I don't think anybody would. I don't think that's like shocking to anybody. It just is. I actually like Barclays. I went to Barclays. I saw the dunk contest there, 2015, 14, somewhere around there. Aaron Gordon. And Barclays is a cool spot. Football, the national champion. When we went the national championship game between Clemson and Alabama, when we were at the Tampa Bay Bucs Stadium, it was the Deshaun Watson game when Clemson won. That was probably the best sporting experience of my life. But as far as just like,
well, hold on, you were also in the end zone when they caught when Deshaun Watson threw the pass that was inevitably a touchdown to seal the game.
The famous picture of him like leaping for the pylon. Me and Stanford Steve are in that picture.
I know,
in the background of that picture, which is incredible. But I will say the vibe, like MSG is a vibe, and I hate terms like that, but it really is like there's an energy to that place even when it's like a 500 basketball team. So I would say like if you take into account like the lack of immediacy or importance of what the game was, the vibe there was as good as anything I've ever been to. So MSG had it. But can I tell you a quick story about I got injured last night?
You got injured?
Yeah, this will be the last thing I say on this.
Wow, and you're still doing the pod today? What a game!
I know, I really am. I mean, listen, built different. What's up? Shout out Kevin Clark. Because I do want to hear about your MSG experience as well. So this will be the last thing. I injured my finger trying to catch a t-shirt from a t-shirt gun. Now, when you think of that, you probably are like, oh, like you were like diving over seats and like bodying people out. I wasn't actually. It was like, it was a timeout and the t-shirt people come out, they're like the fan patrol and they're throwing stuff or whatever. They got like a machine gun of t-shirts, right? And I wasn't paying any attention. I was sitting down and all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, I see the t-shirt coming right at me, like at a very high speed. And it was basically going to be in front of me and probably hit my friend next to me who also wasn't really paying attention. So I stuck my hand out and it just, like when you're playing pickup hoops and you like jam a finger or multiple fingers and it's just
never played pickup hoops.
Well, those of you who know, that's exactly what happened. And it just hit my finger right at the tips and just, basically buckled them. And this finger is like kind of swollen. So I injured myself trying to catch a t-shirt last night, but not because I was being the overbearing loser fan. It was because I actually wasn't paying attention.
And you were trying to protect your friend, like mom vibe,
Like and neither of us actually ended up getting the t-shirt. And so I took one for the team. But damn, those things actually, when they come at you, there's a lot of velocity there, and they're kind of heavy because they're wrapped up really tight. So I wonder, do you think anybody gets injured like with those, not paying attention? Because I could see somebody not like looking, and bam, they get hit in the face with a t-shirt gun. That'd be a bummer.
Yeah, the velo on those is probably way higher than we think. And I also bet the number of injuries sustained because of a t-shirt gun is higher than we think. I bet they keep these incidents under wraps, Steve, because they don't want anyone to know that people are getting injured, because then that's taken away. And it's a very big part of the game day experience. It's a important concept in the stadium game day vibe. But yeah, I mean, I feel like people aren't talking enough about injuries that are likely sustained from t-shirt guns at sporting events.
We need like a Dateline or like some sort of like investigative podcast, true crime situation on this, because this is one of those undercover things that nobody talks about, but it's actually a real problem out there. And I'm a victim. So what can I say?
Well, someone needs to get in touch with you. I feel like we might need like Tom Rinaldi on this. We
do. Speaking of, which is on Rosillo's pod. Great dude.
Oh, was he? Nice.
Yeah, literally yesterday. But you know what the other problem is, and then we'll get to your stuff, is that I don't even really want those t-shirts because they're always like 2X's and they're always too big, or they're not a nice t-shirt. So I'm not willing to put my body on the line to get a crappy t-shirt.
And it's never like a cool logo or something. It's a branded logo. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's like, it's not even Knicks. It's like New York Coca-Cola.
There's definitely a sponsor. Exactly.
Yeah, sponsor.
There's no way they're doing that for free.
Or it's like a basketball and then Coca-Cola on the back or whatever.
100%. It's a great call by you. But so all in all, a great time. But I want to hear more about, because so many people hit me up about this, including our friend Jen Howard, who asked if I was jealous on Instagram, and I just said pass, like I know. So tell me, because you were there, and seeing a concert at MSG is awesome. It's one of the best venues there is, as I talked about before. But you saw one of my least favorite bands of all time. So tell me, how was your experience at MSG?
Okay, so I've been spending a lot of time in New York lately, and kind of like a last minute trip out there last weekend. And my friend JD, who we've talked about on the pod before, I had plans on Friday night and like Saturday day, and he's like, Saturday night, I have tickets to like the Lexus suite at Madison Square Garden to see Dave. He's like, will you go with me? It's for work. And he's like, you're the only person I know that would want to go see Dave.
Okay.
Because
I was wondering, JD doesn't strike me as your typical Dave guy. So,
dude, he's from Iowa. Come on. It's like in our blood.
So he loves Dave.
We have to like Dave.
All right, I guess so.
It's like a Midwestern boat deal. I don't know. Just like we like corn, we like bags, we like beer, and we like Dave Matthews on a boat. Like I can't explain it. It's just our birthright.
I mean, the video, if you haven't seen, go to Michelle's Instagram, because the video of you guys singing whatever stupid song that was.
Where are you going? It's a great song.
It's the worst.
It's a great song.
And wait, really quickly, was he covering Sledgehammer too?
Yeah. Peter Gabriel, shout out.
You know what's so weird about that is I just a couple of days ago watched a video of Harry Styles covering Sledgehammer too.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I didn't know this was, I mean, yeah, and the Sledgehammer is like a classic for sure. I mean, I'm not putting it on, but I was like, wow, 2 covers of Sledgehammer in a week for me. That was weird.
Yeah. All the premier artists out there, Steve, just covering Sledgehammer. So I say to JD, I'm like, fine, I'll go with you, right? And so Saturday rolls around and we're out, we go to brunch, we're out during the day, and I'm like, I've seen Dave before, like I don't really want to go. And JD's like, no, it's gonna be so fun, it's gonna be so fun. I'm like, Madison Square Garden is on my bucket list. I've never been. It's like the whole
You had never been?
I had never been inside MSG all the time I spent in New York, and I'd never been inside.
Okay, then it's okay then I forgive you.
Yeah, and it was in a suite, so we could like kind of pop in, pop out. It's not like I had to wade through the crowd if we showed up late. So they had an opening act, and we were like, we're gonna just like, we'll go at 9, we'll pop in for Dave. So we go in, and you get a beer, you're hanging out. Here's how Dave gets you: is he plays a couple songs and you're in. You're like, yes, I'm back in college.
Like what? Like Crash? Did he play Crash?
Ants Marching? I don't remember. So he played Where Are You Going kind of at the beginning, see, you know it. You love it.
I know the songs because they get beat over your head for the last 20 years. I know the songs. That's why I know I don't like them. But yes. But
he plays some songs, and then he goes into really hardcore fan songs, like deep tracks. And within the deep tracks, I always forget this, even though I've seen Dave several times, there's a good like 12 to 18 minute jam sesh within each song. Like I forget how jammy Dave is.
All the bros just lose their minds.
Oh my, Steve, I think JD and I were the youngest people there by like 10 years. I forget that we're on like the bottom end of the Dave spectrum. Like most people are a couple years older than us. And when I tell you these people were lit up, it was like, we are away from our kids. We're reliving the glory days.
You are describing exactly what I said why I didn't like Dave. It's because
but it was amazing. It was so fun. But I will say,
I feel vindicated. That's all I'm going to say. I feel vindicated.
No, but it was the best time. We had the best time. So what you're saying you're vindicated by is what I think was a big contributing factor to it being so fun, is that everybody was just like, we are turning up tonight. We're at Madison Square Garden. Dave is playing. He's in an 18-minute jam sesh. He's going to weave in Christmas song, and we're going to have a good time. And it ended up being super fun. But being in Madison Square Garden, I felt like I was looking up the entire time because I was looking at the numbers in the rafters, and I'm like, I have got to get here to see a Rangers game or a Knicks game. So next time I'm in New York, which might be in a couple of weeks, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, Maddie wanted to go too, so we'll have to make that a thing. It's stupid.
We should go. We should meet in New York and go to a Knicks game.
I'm 100. Yeah, I mean, let's.
Done.
I'm annoyed that I lived in Connecticut my whole life, and I've been within an hour and a half, 2 hours of the city, and I'm going to the city all the time, and I've never been. It's dumb. It's dumb that I had never been to a game, and I'm not a Knicks guy, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's just, even if it was like a Knicks T-Wolves game, it would be fun for us to go because it's great to get out. It was awesome to like hang out. I think part of it too for me was, we're still kind of in the COVID thing, right? And I also work from home, so like it was just good to like be out with people, right? And hang out, had a couple beers, shout out to the Guinness and the Bud Lights. And it was just like kind of good to be out with people and cheer and like whatever, and the vibe in the arena. Like I missed that. So I'm not sure I would go to the depths of seeing Dave Matthews Band, but I would see just about any Knicks game. So next time you're in town, let's do it.
Okay, we'll get some Shelleys to come with us. It'll be a whole small talk thing. It'll be super fun. Okay, well, speaking of music, Steve, I don't want to call this an emergency pod because it's certainly not an emergency pod, but I would call it an urgency pod because it's been a few weeks since we've been able to do this, but the internet is mad at Jake Gyllenhaal. He is your boy. We know why. We all know why the internet is mad. And as soon as Taylor Swift came out, well, we're going to go ahead and tell you if you don't know, but most of us know. Taylor Swift re-released her album Red. And with that came, what's the name of the song?
Well, it's Taylor's version, first off. Red Taylor's version, right? And it's called
hold on, let me find it.
All Too Well. It's called
All Too Well. Thank you.
It's All Too Well. And then it was I Bet You Think About Me, which we'll get into both of those songs.
Well, All Too Well came out, and it's widely speculated that the song / a lot of the songs on the album, but specifically this one, was written about Jake Gyllenhaal. And she came out with a short film to All Too Well that certainly paints a Jake Gyllenhaal-esque picture of this relationship. And so Steve and I were texting, and I'm like, this is your guy. You need the platform to defend him, because I got to say, he doesn't look great in the video or in the song. So Steve, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Can I ask you though, and I'm a Taylor Swift guy. I think her music is great. I do. I know you aren't on that train. I am. Like, I think she's great, and I respect everything that she does. She's phenomenal. Anyone who writes their own songs like that, especially songs that are that good and that catchy, I think she's brilliant, actually. So I'm not. It's nothing about her songwriting or whatnot. But we're always only getting Taylor's side of the story. Okay, and I get annoyed. And yes, you're right. I'm 100% biased here because I've liked Jake Gyllenhaal. I've loved Jake Gyllenhaal ever since Donnie Darko. Like, I love the dude. I think he's a great actor. I met him. Maddie and I joked, she's like, he would be your celebrity exception in our marriage, which may or may not be true.
Yeah.
And like the time I met him was when he was doing a car wash for the movie Southpaw, the boxing movie he was in, which was good. It was he and Rachel McAdams, and he came, didn't have any entourage. He just showed up. It was Mike and Mike. I was producing that day, and we just chatted for like 15 minutes because he got there early. And he was so fucking cool and not needy, not like, he wasn't big timing anybody. He was just Jake. It was weird. So that's why like it like reinforced this fandom and love that I had for him, to the point where I was like, do I just got to get a beer later? I don't know. Anyway, I didn't.
Yeah, like, am I catching the vibe that he's putting out here? Are we going to get beer?
Yeah, I like, genuinely, we were talking about the movie, and I was talking to people. I had the bun at the, or I'm sorry, I forget if I had the bun or didn't. I did have the bun at the time, and then
he probably thought that was cool.
And he had just cut his for the movie, so we were talking about it, and he was like, "I miss mine too." And he had such great beards. We were talking about men's hygiene. Again, it was the best, one of the best conversations I've ever had, and it was with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I didn't realize, Steve, that you guys had like a really strong bun combo.
I'm telling you, and he missed it. He was like, "Yeah, I missed it. I had to," because he buzzed his head for the movie. And I was like, "How difficult was that for you?" He was like, "It sucked, and it just, I do miss the long hair, and it's just hard to get back to that point." But anyway, we digressed. Back to the Taylor Swift part of this.
Yes.
I am not denying that Jake was at fault, or, deserved, or maybe, I don't know, didn't treat her right was the way, but like, it was a breakup, right? And Taylor has the right to be mad about that, and that's fine. But the issue is, I don't think we have any information other than her side of the story, which, yeah, there were a couple things in there, like, the scarf thing and him maybe being a little bit, like, ignoring her a little bit with his friends when there was like a dinner party in upstate New York. Okay. But we only get her side of the story, and people are so quick to be like, Gyllenhaal sucks. Like, fuck this guy. Like, I was thinking about tweeting out #Team Gyllenhaal, like, right after all this stuff went down. But I was like, I was a little bit scared.
I stand with Jake. You should have said, I stand with Jake.
The only reason I didn't was because I didn't have a full picture at the time. And I mean, nobody does. We don't actually know what happened. But of like, did he do anything like really shitty that like I don't want to back him on? But after reading, like, all right, yeah, like he was 29, she was 20. There's a big age gap. They dated for like 3 months, and it didn't freaking work out. Can she relax? She makes this whole music video where, it's nothing but him doing stuff wrong, which again, I'm sure there was something on her end. Like, it's never, I'm not saying it's 50-50, but it's never 100-0. Like, there's always fault from both parties. So I guess I just get annoyed with like the Taylor Swift fans, because I am a Taylor Swift fan. I think her music is great, and I will not stop listening to it because of this. But people wanting to say like Jake sucks and he's terrible, and like, oh, Jake, how can he never show his face in Hollywood again? And you're like, actually, he's fucking Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a huge movie star. He's loaded. Does he really even care? This might be good publicity for him. So the whole thing I just kind of rejected. And I'll say this, and I'll turn it over to you. there's one line in there that she acts like is such like a bad thing when he's like, oh, maybe this would have worked if we were closer in age. As I mentioned, he was 29, she was 20. Well, that's a reasonable thing for him to think. Like, maybe it didn't work out because it would be weird if I was nearly 30 and dating someone who was under 21. I don't think that's that weird. And for him to have some trepidation or even break up with her because of that, yeah, it's a breakup. It sucks. Like, nobody wants their heart broken, but it doesn't mean that he's some monster, terrible dude. So that's all I'm saying. And I think we need to lay off Jake. It's okay that they had a breakup. Like, we'll never get Jake's side of the story because what's the win in that for him to come back and say something about Taylor? But we have to understand that we're only getting Taylor's perspective on all of these breakups. And there has to be some evidence there based on the amount of people that she's dated and the amount of issues that she's had. Like, the finger kind of points back at you sometimes, Taylor. I'm sorry. So I know that might be controversial, but I'll let you take it from there.
I just want to make it known right now that there was an open invitation for Jake to join this podcast at any time. Jake, if you're listening to this, which I know you might be, if you would like to come on Small Talk and give us your side of the Taylor breakup, you have an open seat, my friend. Anytime you want to join us. I don't know if Steve will be able to form words, but we will certainly ask the questions. We'll just give you the floor and you can explain to everyone what happened. I think that's only fair, right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I will say the way that I talked to him and interacted with him the first time, I think I'll be able to keep myself together. I mean, we're friends now. I'll be like, hey, Jake, remember that time we hung out? And we're like boys now, basically. We just keep it on the DL.
He'll be like, oh, I didn't recognize you without the man bun.
It's true. Yeah, you got to have it on. You look a little different. Sure.
Right. Okay, so we all know my history with Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. I was not a fan. Then Folklore came out. I watched a documentary on her, and I have evolved my stance on her. I actually am with you. I think that she's an incredibly talented songwriter. Now that I know a little bit of the backstory of her manufactured image and how she didn't really want to be like that and how she broke out on her own is amazing to me. I think the way that she's re-recording her music so that she has ownership of everything is spectacular. And I stand with Taylor when it comes to that. But, I had to go back and do a little research because I was not a Swiftie, as they say. So I don't remember this happening in real time, right? Like, I don't remember when Red first came out and everybody was upset with Jake. So I went back and I did some research on them dating. And you're right, there was a pretty significant age gap there. Mm-hmm. And I think that age is just a number, but I do think if you're 34 and you're dating someone that's 45, that's the same. Like, once you've hit 30, I think you're kind of the same.
I agree.
But 29 to 20, you're not even a full adult at 20.
Huge difference. I've talked about this with Ryan's brought this up before. Like, even like in high school, like when a senior to a freshman.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only so 4 years, but it's so much more. And when you're under 21, even if you're Taylor Swift, dating like a near 30-year-old, that is massive.
Massive in emotional maturity, massive in life experience, massive in knowing yourself and who you are and what you want. And I watched the film, which I thought was really well done, by the way. Anybody should go watch it. What's it called? All Too Well.
All Too Well. Yeah.
The song is great. The song is beautiful. The film is great. Shout out to Taylor for that. But I'm watching this, Steve, and I see both sides. Like Chanel, as our boy Frank Ocean says. I see Taylor Swift being a young, needy girl falling head over heels for this older guy.
Cool, and especially Gyllenhaal.
Cool guy, desperately wanting him to love her back and wanting his approval and wanting it to be this big romance. And I see a guy who is into her, but isn't as into her as she is into him. And if this in fact played out the way I watched it in the video, the signs were there. That he was not as into it as she was. But when you're a young girl like that, and maybe you haven't been in love before, or at least in an adult love before, things get like your perception of what is real. It's very hard for you to discern things because you don't have the life experience to know, does he really love me or is he being a total fuckboy right now? You don't have that life experience.
And that's a matter of
really hard.
A lot of the time.
It's really hard. So I'm watching this and my heart is breaking for Taylor because I can imagine, I know what it's like to be a young girl in love. It's especially with an older person. I never did that, but I have friends who did, and it's different, right? But the one thing that you need to defend him on, because I can see Jake's side. I can see him being like, I'm at a dinner party with my friends. I'm not going to cater to you this entire time.
Stop holding my hand. Yeah. I thought that was so weird. I'm married to Maddie. I love Maddie. I'm not holding her hand at a dinner table with my friends. Get out of here. Like, it was so weird.
Okay, but I understand her point. Like, I don't know anybody there. I want you to like make me feel comfortable. I understand that point. But there is one part of this, if this is true, that I find to be completely indefensible. So I need you to defend your boy here. If he did not show up to her 21st birthday party, and it was an intimate gathering with friends and family, and he said he would be there, and she stared at the door the whole time, and he didn't show up, that is the ultimate dick move.
And that's one of those things too, where unless she is just wildly imaginative, which she is, but that would be way too specific for something to her to just like make up. There had to be some truth to that. So I can't defend that. I can't. But here's the thing: at what point in the relation? Like, again, we don't know any of the perspective on this. Did they already have like a big blowout? Maybe he said he would go like weeks earlier, and then they had a huge argument and a blowout, and then he didn't show up because they weren't on good terms. Like, I don't know. So you're right. I can't defend that if he was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll show up," and then just completely ghosted her and everything was good, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. But I don't know that that's the fact. And again, I'm open to her version of the story being true, but we'll never actually know what happened. So sure, of course, the music video and the song, if that's exactly what happened, sure, he's a dick. I don't know. What do you want me to say? But again, that is only her perspective. It is only her view of what happened. And we tend to overlook major red flags and look at everything in rosy colored glasses when it's when it's our side, basically. And I'm sure Jake would have a very different way of telling that story, because like, guys can be dicks, and that's true, but girls can also, as you mentioned, read things totally wrong. And I think you're probably right. And here's the other thing I want to get into really quickly is that I think when you're like, I remember, and this transcends gender, like if you're a guy or a girl, like dating whoever you're dating, it's the age. She was so young when I was young, when I was in high school, I remember, and even in college, like relationships just like had more punch to them. I would get more worked up and emotional about things, and I would think everything was the end of the world, and that like, you know, every little detail mattered. And then when I got to like 30, you're like, oh, none of this shit fucking matters. You know, you're much more like seasoned in dating and relationships. So from her perspective, you know, all right, she's 20 years old. Yeah, I know she had dated, you know, I forget like if that was the first major famous person she dated. I think the John Mayer thing came after that.
She dated Nick Jonas, I think.
But again, they were similar. They were similar age too. I think the John Mayer thing came after, if I remember correctly. But like, I remember, you know, getting worked up over things in a relationship in high school and even into college. That now I'm like, what a loser! Like, why did I read that so wrong? To the point where you have to have like the self-awareness and the reflection, and you only get that with age to know like, actually, I was kind of wrong there. So that's why I still am like. So she makes this music video. And it's basically exactly like when she was 20, even though I feel like she should have more perspective on what that relationship really was.
But the song is about her when she's 20.
That's the thing. I know. So yeah, she's in that headspace, and I get that. And again, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think you're right. And I want to piggyback off that really quickly. I think when you're young too, you tend to idealize relationships rather than live in reality. And I can just imagine her being this young girl. He's this gorgeous movie star that is like so cool and so into her. And even if the signs were there, instead of interpreting them as reality or trying to discern, okay, is this like an emotional intelligence deal that I can't understand? Or I just think in your mind, when you're young, you think this is love. It's going to be a fairy tale. This is how it's going to work out, you know? And to your point, think about when you're in high school and somebody writes you a note or sends you a text, you're deciphering all of it. And you're so into it. Now, I don't even care if I get a text back sometimes. I'm just like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm busy. Totally. You know what I mean? Totally. Like, and granted, when you're in a relationship with someone, things are different because you're not hanging on their every text or whatever. But I think when you're young, you are, especially if you're only a couple months in. Like, think about the buildup of a relationship when you start talking. Like, the first month is just kind of like getting to know you. And if they only were together for 3 months, this was like a fresh young love. So I can see her getting really hurt by that.
Yeah. So I think we agree on that song. We just really quickly touch on the other song too, which did you see the video for? Which
I didn't watch the video, but I listened to it.
Oh, you have to watch the video because it actually made me more angry about not angry. I'm not angry at Taylor, but it made my position on why I'm like still kind of pro Gyllenhaal, or at least like willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and not like cast him away as some loser. It's called I Bet You Think About Me or something like that. And it's clearly about him. And I just thought it was real. It's tough for me to, I guess if you haven't seen it, it's tough for me to sort of talk about it, but like I just thought it was really extra. And I kept wondering, like, does Jake still think about you? I mean, like this was a decade ago. It was probably even more than that. So, it's her like basically at his wedding.
But she wrote it at the time.
I know, but it's just, again, like you're adult Taylor, and it's like, okay, so, he's getting married and you like break up the wedding and you're wearing red and you're sticking your hand in his cake and he keeps seeing you in the mirror. And I'm like, is Jake really thinking about this relationship right now? Like, probably not. He's probably like, why are we still talking about this? It was 3 months. Like, it was 3 months. And even if it was the worst, like, relax. So I don't know. Like, I guess maybe you have to watch it and we'll talk about it on the next pod. But that was actually the one that made me even more like, I just kind of feel like this is a bridge too far.
There was one line, Steve, that if this was like a battle between the two of them, that I was like, that's the ultimate mic drop. She just owned you, Jake. It says, okay. And I was never good at telling jokes, but the punchline goes, I'll get older, but your lovers stay my age, because he is now still dating girls that are like 21, 25. And that the reason they broke up is because she was too young. But as he gets older, he stays in that same bracket. I'm sorry. That is a filthy diss. Filthy. Shout out Taylor.
It's a good line.
It's true.
It's a good line. But again, here's the thing that we do is like, oh, age is just a number. Then we're going to shit on Jake for dating younger girls. Like, we talked about this with Leonardo DiCaprio all the time. He dates basically what, like 20-year-olds essentially in his entire life. It's the old line from, what was it, Days Confused? Like, the older I get, they keep saying the same
I keep getting older, but they say the same age.
Is it creepy to me? Yeah. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have like, oh, like freedom and dating and age is just a number, and then also criticize people for dating younger people. Like, I don't know. I don't.
True.
You're right. It's a good line, and it doesn't make him look good, but I also don't really care that much.
True, but you also can't say, I don't want to date someone this young. You're too young for me, and then continue to date girls that age as you get older.
Is he dating, or is he just like kind of like, he's not married, right, or anything? Like he just.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the status, but I'm just saying, burn.
All right, there's one line that I actually thought you were going to bring up that I thought was better, was the and you call me up again just to break me like a promise, so casually cruel in the name of being honest.
Really good.
That's a phenomenal line. Like, this is why I'm like, she's just an elite songwriter. Like that's poetry. That's just, I mean, even if I disagree with her, or at least would like to hear Jake's side of the story, that is so well said. And it's like, even if I don't think he might have been being cruel, maybe he was being cruel, that is a cruel line, and it like really digs deep. And it certainly, I'm sure that's why the Swifties are all mad at it and whatnot, but there is no doubt that she is an incredible artist, songwriter, now like music video person, whatever. She's incredibly talented, but let's just share the blame a little bit if we can.
So are you team Jake on this, or what?
I'm team, like, I'm waiting to hear more information.
No, you have to pick a side.
I'm going to pick Jake's side just because I don't know his side. And I know Taylor's side in every song is always, oh, look at this other person being a shithead to me. So, okay. Again, at some point, I said the finger points kind of back at you. Like, do I think Jake was perfect? No, but I think Taylor, everyone wants to absolve her of all blame. I think there's probably some blame for both sides.
Yeah, Taylor could punch him in the face and say, I hate you.
You broke my hand.
You broke my hand, and then write a song about it, and people, the Swifties would be like, why was he standing there? Why was he standing in her way?
Like, it's just so dumb. Anyway.
The Swifties will defend her at all costs.
Yeah.
Well, Steve and I keep meaning to do this, and we keep dropping the ball, but we're so happy that we finally got our act together, and we arranged a time to have Intern Jon join us back on the podcast. You, of course, know John because you read his blog every week at smalltalkpod.com. The Shell Talk blog. It's so funny. It's usually pro Steve, but he is here anyway to talk to both of us today. What's up, John?
Greetings and salutations. So wonderful to be back. It's a homecoming of sorts. Just what a treat to be back.
John, Michelle's right. We dropped the ball, and there's a lot to get to with you. We're going to finish out with A+ content. We've got some stuff that we want to throw at you guys, including a recommendation that you have taken from Michelle, a book. We got to talk about that in a second. We'll talk about some thoughts you had on our last University Love Songs draft. You have some thoughts there, which is great, because we always trust you in the music department as well. But first, we have to ask you, we just did this thing about, we both went to MSG, right? And she saw the DMB concert. I saw the Knicks game last night. Shout out to the Magic getting dub. What's up? And Michelle asked me about arenas that, or like basically like sporting experiences that I thought were like my favorite. And MSG, like if I take it, it was, an NBA game in the middle of November. There wasn't that many stakes, but it was an awesome vibe. So I put it up there with, some of the best places I've ever been to. You, Kentucky guy, obviously like college hoops centric, like that's I don't know if it's like the Mecca necessarily, but like Kentucky and Rupp Arena is up there. It's probably a top 5 place in the country to watch a college basketball game. Is like, what has been your experience with Rupp? Like, how cool was Rupp? Like when Kentucky's good and that thing's rolling and Cal's got like all those 5-star recruits in there. Like, is that like one of the best places you've ever been to see a game?
Oh, 100%. Of course, there's going to be bias with that, but it's pretty universally like respected across the board, like in the sport. It is the Mecca. It has to be a big game though, because the snowbirds down the lower level. So unlike say Michigan State, random example, but they've got their student section like completely surrounded in a U down the lower bowl. So I went to UK too for school. We had a raffle system. So my sophomore year is when Cal first got here. So John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, so you were right in the thick of it. Like,
yeah,
wow.
NIT, but I was there in the eruption zone behind the basket for our NIT season. Born here, been going there since I was a kid. So I've seen a lot of transition. We had Tubby Smith, we won a title 98, but then we had just a lot of mediocre, good, not great teams. Then the bottom fell out. It was just a disaster. And then Cal came and it was fucking on. So I've seen a lot of like the ambiance, like the ebbs and flows with that. But when it's a big game, so when North Carolina is coming to town, Louisville, Anthony Davis, the one year he was here, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, we won the title that year, 2012. North Carolina, I believe they're top 5 for sure, but I believe they're maybe number 2, number 3 matchup. It's insane. It's on a whole different level. It's packed. I mean, we've actually downgraded to like 20,000. It was 24,000 at the time, and it's complete bedlam. So it is really contingent on the opponent, but when it's at its peak, it's bananas.
Okay, let's talk music. John, the floor is yours. University Love Songs draft. What do you like? What do you not like? Tell us.
Thanks for the alley-oop here. Great description on your part, Dolores Umbridge, for that sake. We'll start off with the
Harry Potter
positive.
reference?
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Good for you.
Okay, we'll start off with the positives. Both of your all's number 1 picks were certified bangers. Michelle, Mr. Brightside, can't go wrong with that. Ceruti, September. There's no like head to head. They're both certified bangers. Terrific. Michelle, I Want to Dance, Whitney Houston, great, little stock, but it's Universally Loved Songs draft. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good song. Then the wheels fall off for both of you all. I'll start, Michelle. You know what? You just said I agree with Ceruti on everything. So we'll start with Ceruti. Thriller. Personally, I think that's the most overrated song of all time. It's not a bad song. It's a little, I've told you I'm a child of the light. It's a little dark for me. Yep. It's great. It's just super overhyped. You're omitting PYT and Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Great.
What?
Man in the
Thriller
Mirror
is, you're right.
song.
I don't think those are better songs, but I'll hear an argument about that. But Thriller is by far the more popular song of all of those. I'm sorry. Thriller is the most popular Michael Jackson song.
It's also the video and the length of it and the cinematography. It's more of a moment than it is a loved song.
Oh, I feel like that song. I'm happy you disagree with me, John. It's okay. You can disagree with me. You can tell me I'm wrong. And
first time for everything, guys.
Yeah, listen, it's all right. Dip your toe in the water. It's fine. But I'm sorry, like PYT, no way that is on the level.
Oh, what a hook. What a hook. And there's a vibe. And again, Intern Jon's playlist over here, it's a jovial vibe. Emphasis on jovial vibes, like a wedding vibe. Universally Loved Songs. I'm thinking wedding.
Yeah, me too. Hype.
But I don't think
Yes.
people think of
Yes.
Thriller, even though you're right. Thriller is like kind of like a weirdly dark song. I don't think people think of it that way. I don't think they think of the lyrics that
It's
much.
not that. It's not.
They just like the
think of the
cadence, they
dance.
like the beat, they like the, exactly. They're not thinking too deep into this. You're
yeah,
right.
and if we're going wedding songs, like we would have done the Cupid Shuffle. You know, this is like we're talking all genres here, not
hard
just
pass
wedding.
too. Yeah, hard pass.
Right.
Worst song of all time, like hands down, the worst song of all time.
No, the worst song of all
Ceruti,
time.
You know,
No, the worst song of all time is Hey
the
There,
worst
Delilah.
song of all time. Yes, 100%.
There has never been a more morose song to ever hit the airwaves than Hey There, Delilah.
It's just annoying.
It's the worst song ever.
I'm not going to back up Hey There, Delilah and say it's some great song. I just don't think it's the worst song of all time. I mean, it's not the worst song.
You listen to that song and you're like, was I just in a padded room by myself in a mental institution? Like, what just happened? My endorphins.
I'll give you a worse
dropped.
song.
Go.
Lips of an Angel by what is it? What the hell is the name of that?
Hinder.
That's to me maybe the worst song of all time.
No, at least with that song you can mock it and be like, wow, you know, you could do a fake deep voice and be like, wow, that kind of sucked. Like we're all having a good time because it's stuck together. Hey There, Delilah, you're like, am I okay? Is this like a well-being check? Am I all right? A wellness check?
Yeah, who just puts that on? It's like, you know, you're right. Who's like, you know what? I'm gonna move to listen to Hey There, Delilah. Yeah, let's do it. I don't know what mood that is, but it's something.
It's called depression, Steve. It's like certifiably depressed.
All right, you're talking me into this. Okay.
It's terrible.
I 100% agree. That's such a great take, Michelle. All right. So we'll do a little Roger Federer tennis here. Michelle, let's get to your list. Marvin Gaye, let's get it on. You know the Tom DeLonge, former Blink-182 lead singer, like that meme where he's just got that like mullet and like mustache saying he's just like, what the fuck? That, yeah, good song, but like setting, you can't throw that on everywhere.
I disagree with you. I think you can turn up the sexy anywhere you go. You know, I'm not suggesting that you get it on anywhere you go, but like if we're at a gas station and you're pumping gas and I turn that on, I'm like, let's just invite some sexy.
There's no way that would be on at a gas station.
I'm saying if you walk in and you play that, you're like, we're inviting sexy into this moment, you know? And to me, sexy always gets an invite. It's a welcome, a universal welcome.
We're not prudes here on the show. Like this isn't like, you know, this isn't a pilgrim thing. But I just think I'm with John on this one. In hindsight, like
I think you meant Puritan, not pilgrim.
Puritan. Well, Puritans, pilgrims, it's like the same thing. There you go.
We're not churning butter, Steve. I mean, come on.
Well, pilgrims were Puritans.
Thanksgiving on the mind. No, but back to the wedding though. Throwing that song on, you got all your aunts and your grandma around.
Yeah, I don't want to that around grandma.
Yeah.
Listen, I want Aunt Esther to get her roll on. Like, I want to see some body rolls. Yes, I do. Go for it.
I don't know.
Okay, Ceruti, back to your list, Ceruti. Don't Stop Believing. Totally understand it. It's not a bad pick. I just completely agree with Michelle that they've got better songs. Lights, Faithfully being the two mainstays there. It's just very chalk. It's very chalk.
But that's the stupid part of this draft is that I agree with you. It's not their best song. I don't even really love that song. But if that song comes on, as you guys described, at a wedding, everyone is singing that song, especially if they've had a couple of vodka sodas and they're really feeling themselves and love is in the air. I'm sorry. It just is. Like that's it's like Sweet Caroline. That song's not good. It's overplayed, but people sing it because it's just kind of like it's a vibe.
Ceruti, again, a what the fuck moment. Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk. I mean, not even his best song.
Yeah,
but
hindsight, I don't love it.
You said Hey Ya. Take Hey Ya.
I don't like Hey Ya. I think it's Outkast's worst song.
Again, I'm not saying it's Outkast's best song. It's not Outkast's best song. I mean, Ghetto Music would be up there. Obviously, Rosa Parks is up there.
Ghetto Music?
I love Ghetto Music. It's one of their most underrated songs. It's amazing. Plus, it was on the Madden soundtrack in like 2002, so no big deal. But I'm not saying that it is their best song, but it is a song, again, that comes on at a wedding and people are like, oh, yeah, I'm bopping to this and I'm feeling good about myself.
Yet you wanted to throw dirt on International Players Anthem.
My grandmother is not listening to International Players Anthem.
It's got to be.
If that comes on at a wedding, we are hyped. We are
and your friends who are all middle-aged, not like the 50+ crowd. Did you just
call me middle-aged?
Well, I'm the same age as you. It doesn't really matter. I'm talking like the 50+ crowd.
Are you middle-aged?
Yeah, I don't know. As I told you, I've never felt older than I do right now. And ironically, I've never been older than I am right now. But like, I would say I'm talking about the 50+ crowd is not into International Players Anthem.
Yes, they are. You're wrong.
Well, technically, people, what's the life expectancy? It's like 70.
100.
It's not 100. What is this? Like you're 3021? No, 50 is not middle age. 50 is old.
Hold on.
The average life expectancy is like mid to late 70s.
Hold on, stand by. We're researching.
I'm telling you the answer right now.
It's 78.7.
Yeah, I mean, I know these things. What's up?
Why do you know that?
I don't know. I just know the average life.
I just want everyone live to like 100 these days. With modern medicine, it's like you can't get rid of people.
So like 40 is like middle age, but I'm talking 50 plus. Those people are not down with UGK. I'm sorry.
I think you're wrong.
I think it's an understatement. But we'll cap this off, Michelle. Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places. Talk about low quality selection.
Thank you.
I'm with Ceruti. Country just can't get in here. And I wrote this in Shell Talk. I'm from Kentucky. So if anyone's going to say, oh, country music can be universal, no, it's not. I hate country music, but there's a couple of good songs out there. This isn't one of them. This is super niche.
So you all right, really quickly before we get to A+ content, you have basically poo-pooed most of our selections, which I think is fine. I'm okay with that. Do you have any that you would like to, that you think we missed?
Yeah, we are just talking about our girl Alanis Morissette. You're like, oh, this is universally loved song. You ought to know. That's my number one. It's my number one selection. I wouldn't put number one if I was actually like building a roster here, but it's on the list. Put this on Shell Talk. Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know. Casey and the Sunshine Band, Get Down Tonight. BG, Staying Alive. WW, ABD, What Would Andy Bernard Do? Earth, Wind, and Fire, September, Great Call, Ceruti. And Ceruti, are you going to have to turn in your fan card, Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life? Where the fuck was that at?
No. As much as we text about how Michelle, we were texting about this, Michelle, how much if we sent you the new Third Eye Blind album and told you that it was like some cool indie band, you would like it.
I disagree.
You would. If we did like a blind taste test, like a blind music test, you would 100%. Oh, this sounds good. No, because I've already told you what the plan is, so you're gonna know it's coming. But John and I were like, this will 100% happen. But she's just you're too pop committed. I mean, I'm the same way with DMB, although I don't think there's any DMB song that I would like. But I don't know. But I think your song choices are good, John. But what was the Bee Gees, Staying Alive? I will say that song, the older I get, the more that slaps, dude. That song is, it's a banger.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So I will allow that.
I was just hoping for a little more disco, a little more jovial disco, funk vibes. Not just, Uptown Funk does not qualify, but that's where I'm at on it.
Staying Alive with Uptown Funk. That's what I'll make a trade. There we go.
That's a compromise.
Michelle, any parting thoughts before we get into A+ content?
I stand by all my choices. I think my list was amazing.
I think John exposed you, so it's okay. All right.
A+ content, guys. I don't have anything because I haven't been consuming any content lately other than St. Louis Blues hockey and like Bravo when I'm on a plane to New York. So you guys, I know though, have been consuming a lot of great A+ content. So please fill me in on what I need to experience.
John, why don't you go first?
Michelle, I think you'll be pro this choice. This has got it right here. The reason I'm showing this, the Book of Mac Miller book, there are 2 books out. One is not approved by the family. We're not going to mention that one. This one is. This has the blessing of the family. Just paints a very texturized 3-dimensional, really with Mac, he's like 5-dimensional, but he's an artist. He wasn't just a rapper. He was just metaphysically, spiritually, just as an artist, so many different things at once, kind of like a mosaic of sorts. Great book, highly recommend it. And the other, I have an album, I don't know if you all are familiar, Turnstile. Did not find out about them until late summer. I don't know how to categorize them. It's kind of a heavier punk, I guess like hardcore punk, but they have a lot of melody and harmony, kind of like a better version of The Offspring. Emphasis on a better version. A lot of the riffs are the same, but better. And not as annoying of a lead singer, like not as whiny.
You're really actually hitting a lot of chords, not pun intended. But I actually don't like The Offspring at all, but I do like some punk and hard punk and like that kind of vibe. But I've always thought The Offspring were actually not that good of a band.
What?
So that's funny.
Come on, you gotta keep them separate.
Self-esteem.
Yeah, come on.
Self-esteem is a good song, but everything else. So anyway, the fact that and it's a lot of it is because I just don't think the lead singer. I don't love the lead singer's voice, so I'll have to check it out.
That's fair. And I think they're mid-20s. I don't want to use the word woke, but they're very attuned to society. They've got a song off this album. So this is Glow On. It came out, I think, late August. 3 songs. Don't want to overwhelm anyone here. Mystery, Dance Off, Lonely Desires with a Z randomly, which is just, I think, intentionally playful.
Edgy.
But Dance Off, it is a commentary. It's basically just making fun of TikTok dances. But
Love.
in a, yeah.
Well, I'm all for
Yeah.
that.
So Team Turnstile, those are my 2 recommendations.
Very
Great
nice.
recommendations out of you, John. Can't wait to read that Mac Miller book, Gone Too Soon.
Can I ask you this, John? Did you start listening to the Backseat Lovers because I put them in A+ content? You had been
100%. 100%. And this is why I was so disappointed you universally love Songstrap, is your all's taste is so exquisite. Backseat Lovers, what a great call. Kilby Girl, pretty much a daily rotation at this point.
They're my favorite band in the last 5, maybe 10 years. I think they're that good.
Such a great call.
I think they're that good. So anyway, I'll do mine here. I think all great things by you. I need to get more into Mac Miller though. Michelle has sent me things, and I don't know, for some reason I haven't consumed his catalog and gotten in.
Go backwards. Start at the beginning.
backwards.
Okay.
So his last 3 albums, Good AM, Swimming Circles, they are all 3 linked together, like literally linked together. They're different themes, but they hand off to each other and then circle back. Super deep.
Can I ask you a question really quickly, because I brought this up shortly earlier in the pod, and we don't need to expand upon it, but Jeezy, overrated, underrated, properly rated, John?
I mean, I haven't heard him in so long. I was never the biggest fan.
All right, never mind. We're gonna cut this early. We're gonna cut this short. I think he's incredibly underrated.
No, if I want that vibe, if I want that type of vibe, and I'm not looking for like lyrical depth or anything. Give me Juicy J. There's lyrical depth to Jeezy. Okay,
there is.
Give me Juicy J. I don't know, 3 6 Mafia. Just yeah.
Well, 3 6 Mafia is great. I will agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, we've digressed. Anyway, let me give you 2 things really quickly before we get you out of here. One is I saw it. So I talked about this on earlier pods. I read Dune. It was great. It's dense. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, especially if you're not a huge sci-fi person. But I saw the movie in IMAX a couple weeks ago. We haven't done a pod, I think, since I've seen the movie. Absolutely phenomenal. And now it is confirmed that they are going to make Dune 2 and possibly even Dune Messiah, which is the next book after that. Michelle, as she just, fist bumps sarcastically.
Thank God. Dune 2.
I grew up Lord of the Rings guy, and nothing really will ever sort of touch that for me. By the way, Lord of the Rings, 20 years old this year. Where the hell did time go? I've never felt older, and I've never been older than I am right now. But Dune gives me those vibes, and the cast is phenomenal. Timothée Chalamet is in it. Rebecca Ferguson's awesome. Jason Momoa is in it. Oscar Isaac. Phenomenal cast. It is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. It was from Denis Villeneuve, who did Arrival. He's done Blade Runner 2049. Incredible director. Michelle, just give it a shot. I don't know if you're into sci-fi, John, or anything like that. It's a 2.5 hour long movie.
Negative.
It's a lot of setup, but it is beautiful. And I think you're going to want to see this one, because the next one and then the other sequel are going to be incredibly great movies. So just want to put that on everybody's radar.
Okay.
And Michelle's like, hard pass. Okay, and then my other A+ content, this should be no surprise to anybody. FIFA 22 soundtrack. It's the only good thing that they do anymore. Honestly, the game is kind of trash. The Ultimate Team is terrible. This is like, if you have fast players, you probably win. That's not how soccer works. But the soundtrack, absolute freaking fire, guys. Like they knock it out of the park every single year. Let me just run through a couple tracks that I bet I'd love. I've never even heard of some of these bands too, but this is an artist called Baby Queen. Who knows?
Love the name.
Sure. The song is called U-Shaped Hole. Maybe my favorite song on the album. There's a Churches song. I don't know if you guys like Churches. I think they're great. Good Girl is a great song. I think it's an Alt Nation now. They've got another Glass Animal song. Heat Waves was on the previous album, which is probably one of my favorite songs of the last decade. This one is called I Don't Want to Talk, which is their new song. Great. If you're into like indie alt, kind of like upbeat music, even a little bit Euro, check out the FIFA 22 soundtrack. You will not be disappointed.
Okay, and I'm sneaking in one A+ content thing here, because I did realize that I haven't shouted out Bravo in a while. I just want to tip my cap to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Jen Shah getting arrested before the crew went to Vail on a fraud charge has been high quality television. So I just want to shout out Andy for just continuously picking women who have suspect pasts that get to play out in real time.
He doesn't miss.
He does not miss. It's like he knows there's something shady about you that I'm going to expose on national television. Can't wait. But the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I wasn't into them after season 1. Incredibly juicy.
What an eclectic A+ content. This is what the people come here for.
That's right. Okay, well, John, Thank you so much for jumping on with us. And Jon, thank you, of course, for writing the Shell Talk blog. It's incredibly well written. It's really entertaining. And tell the people how they can find it.
That is smalltalkpod.com/shelltalk. And I just want to go on record and say, I welcome any sort. If you have you want to just completely like go against what I have to say, just fire away.
Come with your takes.
We don't have to agree. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks, Jon. You're the best. And we're going to get you on again soon. Steve and I need to do a better job about coordinating this because we love chatting with you.
It's been real. See y'all.
Later, dude.
Well, thanks again to Jon. Thank you to everyone for listening. Steve and I will be back in action sometime. But until then, we're planning a trip to MSG.
Team Gyllenhaal.
Thanks for listening to Small Talk. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or the Podcast One app.